How's it going, boys? Danny here. Welcome to my first video on the Studio Loot YouTube channel. I'm going to be running you through the Garden of Genesis. Now, this is a pretty fun expedition, but we thought we'd just guide you through it, should you need the hand. You can, of course, use the timeline below to skip ahead if you need to. However, let's just get right into it. So the entrance to the expedition is located in the northwest of Eden Grove. And much like every other expedition, you will require at least one member of your team to have the key for it, which in this case is the Genesis tuning orb. The first encounter in this dungeon is an elite archer called Forcos. The battle against him is fairly straightforward. The only two things to watch out for is, if you are not a tank, firstly his melee attack, which deals a substantial amount of damage, and secondly, his area of effect volley ability. Make sure you dodge that. Right after this encounter, there are stairs you take to reach the water-filled area below. Defeat the mobs here and collect the overgrowth on the wall, which will open the door upstairs from back where you came. That pathway will lead you to your first actual boss, Taxodius. Taxodius has 3 spells. The one to watch out for the most is the Unstable Swamp Fiend ability, in which he pulls a fiend out of the ground, which explodes shortly after. Just make sure you burst them down as soon as you can before they do explode. The rest of the fight is only a matter of tank and spank. The next area you walk into is the Blighted Hollow. Once you eliminate the fiends and hives here, you eventually reach Gorgery, an elite shaman which behaves the same as a regular shaman, just a little bit stronger. Once you defeat him, you eventually reach a room with a sapling tree in the middle. Defeat the mobs here and examine the tree to collect a sapling from it, which will update your task. Heading down the stairs, you will eventually reach the elite Taxi, which is a miniature version of Taxodius with the same abilities, just a little bit weaker. Continuing along the path, you will fall upon Alluvium Marl, the Caretaker. The Caretaker will be invulnerable for a few seconds, so make sure you wait until after he screams to avoid wasting any cooldowns. Once the tank is able to establish threat, you will need to place him in the center of the room and prepare to dodge his extended claw attack, which he will use quite frequently. If he manages to land that ability, it will knock the player down, and whatever follow-up abilities the Caretaker casts will cause increased damage. Intermittently throughout the first phase, the Caretaker will cast his Blighted Protection ability, which sends a ghoul-like protection traveling the entire length of the arena in the direction the Caretaker casts it. The attack covers a wide area as it travels across the room and deals a lot of damage, so players, you will need to remain cautious here. Whenever he is about to attack, he will bend down and roar. At around 60% health, the Caretaker reaches the second phase, wherein he will move to the center of the area and plunge his hands into the ground to cast an overgrowth, which is an impassable barrier made of vines. The barrier prevents you from dealing damage to the boss from the outside of that barrier, so the group will want to center itself on the inside of the barrier, optionally leaving 1 DPS on the outside to deal with the adds that spawn there, which could potentially overrun the group when we have to deal with them after the overgrowth ability expires. Once inside the barrier, you will notice the Caretaker now has a stamina bar. You will need to deplete it quickly using light or preferably heavy attacks to avoid a group wipe. While inside the barrier, the Caretaker will continue to use his claw shot and Blighted Protection abilities. The Caretaker will also use the Submerge ability, where he dives into the water, becoming invulnerable for that duration. As he moves along underwater, he leaves Blight in his wake, which allows you to track him and anticipate his pouncing attacks. If you do step on the Blight, it will affect you with a 2 minutes debuff, which reduces healing. You can use the Blighted Tinctures to remove the effect to make things easier. The mechanics will repeat randomly until you eventually slay him. Once the Caretaker has been taken care of, head south into a small room where you will find an expedition chest and a brazier. Use your Azov staff and a brazier to carry the Purifying flame. Once lit, the player carrying the flame will not be able to perform any other action and must carry the flame to purge the concentrated blight at the back of the room. The rest of the group must protect him while he does so. You can defeat the enemies past the wall if you like, but you won't be able to proceed through there. Once you defeat Morphion, the Hive, and the Fiends in there, head west and clear the Blighted Wall, which leads you back to the Arboretum where you first collected the sapling. The mobs here will have respawned, but instead of heading back up the stairs, head west, killing the mobs until you reach the elite Odus. After defeating him, clear the wall behind him and have your flame bearer light the brazier at the end of the hallway. You will notice your objective updates to defeat elite archer Folgda. After picking up the expedition chest to the left of the brazier, head down the corridor, down the staircase, and below you will find Folgda. Once defeated, collect the chest there. The left staircase door leading to the next checkpoint should now open. Then take the staircase leading south where you encounter the final boss, the Blighted Greenskeeper. Position is extremely important here. Any melee DPS will need to stand behind her, as her Quick Claw is a cleave ability which will cause a lot of damage. Periodically, the Greenskeeper will cast Poison Blob, which summons blobs which will wander around the arena. While they're not much cause for concern, you could avoid them to prevent extra source of poison damage. The Greenskeeper will also cast Blighted Breath, which deals damage and knocks players down, infecting them with blight, which again reduces the healing that you will receive. She will also target a random player and cast Death Spell, which affects them with a poison and disease debuff. This ability seemingly cannot be avoided or dodged. At around 60% health, or phase 2 as it were, she will dig into the ground, becoming invulnerable, and spawn 2 soldiers on the surface. Here she will attempt to travel to a player and impale him from underneath. However, since her health bar can be tracked, it should be fairly easy for you to dodge. She will attempt to impale players several times before she does resurface again. After resurfacing, the Greenskeeper will cast Boulder Drop on a random player, first marking the area on the ground where it will land before dropping it. You as the player should be able to dodge it, and you will want to dodge it because it deals a lot of damage. After at least 3 boulders have fallen, she will begin channeling Poison Nova, which is an arena-wide area of effect spell that kills players immediately if they do not take cover behind the boulders. From here on, the mechanics will repeat until you have defeated the Greenskeeper. At which point, you have completed the expedition. And that's it, boys. That is the end of the expedition. Hopefully this video was helpful to you. If it was, please, as always, think about leaving a subscribe, leave a like, share it with a buddy that may be struggling with the expedition. Yeah, as always, thank you all for watching. I appreciate you watching this long. I appreciate you being here, and I will see you guys on the next video.